So how do you get analytics on some of these products of data to say, this product's going to add X amount of bushels?
So I hate, there's a lot of customers that say, man, I'm going to spray Relax RX. How many bushels is that going to add? I said, well, how much stress do you have? So if you're in a perfect environment and you're just spraying it by itself, it might not add any bushels at all.
Yep.
But if you're in drought conditions and you have to spray a herbicide, it may add 10 bushels. So it's all about using the product where it works.
Yep.
So all products work somewhere, but some products don't work everywhere. So if you're in a like a stressful situation, you're going to see way more benefit out of that than if you're living in a perfect world and everything. If you've got tied up nutrients and you're not wanting to apply as much fertility, these two products are really going to shine. There are some plant health benefits to that product that that aren't on the label that we can't talk about specifically, but if we're giving that plant the fertility that it needs and the balance that it needs, you think about yourself. If you're sitting around eating chips and drinking pop all day, you're not feeling very good.
Yep.
But if you're eating a steak and getting all the nutrition that you need, you're feeling a lot better, a lot more robust. You're going to be a lot more productive. We're getting the same thing out of these products. So we're really just trying to feed that plant what it needs, and we want it to be as productive as possible all the way through the season.
Good.
And, we look at starter fertilizers. That corn's going to be just as green as can be and growing fast, getting out of the ground, which is great. And I am still a proponent for starter fertilizers where it fits. But a lot about this product is we're growing a more robust plant. There's company data that they have two stalks, and one I think is 13% larger than the other. And I've heard it said that you're trying to get downtown. Do you want to be on a 2-lane road or a 4-lane highway? Well, the bigger we can make that vascular system in that plant, the more nutrition and water we can push up into that plant quicker and grow that plant to be stronger and more robust throughout the season.
Good. So a question I have is, there's a big movement in our country right now towards being healthier.
Yeah.
And the same applies to your crops and your fields. So a lot of farmers ask the question, why am I going to add all these additional products into my fields that is not natural to the soil? Can you talk on that a little bit?
Yeah. So all of the BW Fusion biology teams are native to our soils in the United States. They are they're not synthetically made like many other on the market. They're not genetically modified like many others on the market. They're actually naturally occurring in our soils here at home. So we don't have that fear of them causing problems because they are there. We're just enhancing the ones that are there. Some of them are food sources. Like there's a microalgae in BioBoost that acts as a food source to the natural biology that's in your soil. So we're also ramping it up. We're not just adding bugs in a jug. We're trying to ramp up your soil and make it work for you also. I've heard it talk that if God wanted plants to, eat through their leaves, they'd put roots up there. Well, we also have stomata up there that can take these nutrients in. So we're utilizing the whole plant, not just the roots, but also the leaves, to push some of these nutrients into the plant when the roots have kind of shut down for the year. They're still drinking up water, but they're more focused on putting grain or seed into the ear or the pod.
Yeah.
They're not worried about trying to get that nutrition and keep the plant healthy.
Sure.
So if we can force some of that into the plant, we're going to see better results at the end of the year.
Good. So taking a little shift here, can you talk to me about what you guys offer on the seed side of things?
Yep. So we're AgriGold dealers. AgriGold is very unique on their corn hybrids. They break everything into families. So a lot of other seed companies, I would say all the other seed companies, sell you a 111 day, 112 day, maybe a 113 day, and say, yep, you've got diversity because you have three different maturity groups.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. But, I need a workhorse and a racehorse. Oh, yeah, you've got a workhorse and a racehorse. Okay, that's great. Well, which one's going to need fungicide? Well, I don't know. When do you need to put nitrogen on it? Well, I don't know. I have to say that AgriGold has the most data on each hybrid and their specific characteristics, and you can see that in their seed guide. I've looked at tons of seed guides from different companies, and they put the most information out there in their seed guides about each hybrid. So let's take, for instance, you're planting a family F, and we look at a family F like 63611. You've been planting it for 5 years, it goes away, and we're rolling out a new hybrid. Okay, well, what's going to replace that? Well, we're going to roll you into another family F. That way that you know that the characteristics are going to be very similar, the management's going to be very similar, and you're going to have success. Another thing, rather than just, where we're rolling into a new one, we also look at diversity across our acres. So we know that, every year is going to be different.
Yep.
We were dry the whole year last year until the very end. This year we were wet until we get to the very end and we turn off very dry. So kind of not opposite years, but not exactly the same. The hybrid families that performed well last year are going to perform totally different this year. And the hybrid families that performed poorly last year may excel this year. We don't know that year to year. I always caution people about planting just plot winners, because that thing was a plot winner last year does not mean that the weather is going to be make it a plot winner for this year. So along with rolling you into something that you're comfortable with, we also have the diversity across our lineup and across your farm. That way, if you're in a hot and dry year, you have a family that's going to perform well in a hot and dry year, whether in a cool and wet year, the same thing applies. We can tailor some of that to, if you're an average fungicide user, you use fungicide sometimes, or you're against it altogether. We've got hybrids that'll fit all those categories. If you're you're free plant anhydrous, you're putting it in season, you're putting it in season twice, we've got different hybrid families that are going to correspond to that, and different hybrids that will correspond to that. So having the knowledge of our hybrids and putting some of your inputs and just kind of putting your system into our database, we can really place those hybrids on the right acres.
Good. Yeah, that last point is I really like about AgriGold too. Is it helps me as a salesperson place those right products on, because every field on every farm is different. So we can put 3 different hybrids on 3 different fields and all perform very well.
Right. So. And beans aren't just beans. There's a lot more to it. They keep all those stats on the beans. They don't have the families, but we also have all the stats that we have for corn on the bean side, for disease management, soil type placement, wide row, population. All of that data is in the book, and we're able to get those beans on the right acre also. Good. Which is very important. A lot of guys are buying beans by maturity, and that hurts my heart. I'm a bean guy, so. Yep.
So is there anything that you guys did on the farm this year that didn't work?
Plant in June.
A couple of years ago, you would have said that was what worked.
Right. That's, you come back to every year's different. We had our best corn was planted on June 5th 2 or 3 years ago. And this year, the guys that planted Easter weekend are going to look like rock stars.
Yep.
So it just depends. We had a lot of our beans in early. Like I said, we've been harvesting those, and they've looked pretty good for the year we've had. Some of these later beans that got planted in June or maybe even early July are not going to have the same fate.
Yep.
A lot of flat pods and a lot of stuff that's just not going to be as good. So product-wise, I don't think we've had any failures. We've kind of dialed in the products over the past few years. We've got some new trials out there, but I'm not going to say anything until we actually hit them with the combine. But a lot of our standby products have been around 2 or 3 years, and we've had good success with them, and we're seeing continued success.
Good.
So,
good.
I guess I would say 2 years ago I was a 401 in furrow guy, and that was our bread and butter. We compare it to a BioBoost corn or a BioBoost soy. I cannot say that I've ever seen better nodules on soybeans since we've switched to BioBoost soy.
Yep.
We pulled all the liquid off the soybean planter. We've went straight to the planter box treatment, and I am seeing great root structure and nodulation on the soybeans. Great root structure on the corn. We're still running some in-furrow products, but we've pulled a lot of the extra stuff out because it's been replaced with what's in that BioBoost bucket. So,
sure.
So I don't want to sound like I don't try anything new, because I do, but a lot of products either become combinations
Yep.
or we just kind of pivot into something new like we have from 401 to BioBoost.
Yep.
And
Good.
and the meltdown may go away someday when we get to working more with BioCast Max. We don't implement it a lot on the farm. We do a little bit with our side dress depending on what field it is. But the way that it's structured, we may pivot more towards it as a replacement for meltdown.
Good. Good. Is there anything else as we wrap up here, is there anything else you want to add or?
No, I think the biggest thing is to keep an open mind as a farmer.
Yep.
Because this conversation is going to be totally different next year. We may be looking at $5.50 corn and $12, $13 beans.
Yep.
Or we may be looking at $3.30 corn and, you know, I don't want to say how bad the beans can get. But the inputs change every year. The commodity prices change every year. Get with somebody, not us. We don't do this, but get a marketing plan in place. These grain elevators are smart, and we need to be too. So be sure you're working on basis at your local grain elevator. Work with somebody to help you, hedge your markets, hedge your grain, because these markets are volatile, and we need to be locking in profits when we can, if we can. Work with a good agronomist, a good agronomy team like we have here at Easy Custom Ag. Just so you have somebody that's ahead of trends, knows what the fertilizer markets are doing, and somebody that has an open mindset to where we can work through the problems as they come, either in January when we're making these plans, or in May when we need to change and do something different in season. But really, building your team, having people you can trust around you, and being willing to change, whether that be year to year or in season, just as things happen. And I guess my last thing is weed control. It may be one water hemp out in the middle of the field. Manage it. Get out of the combine and pull it, because you are going to kick yourself when you've got to spray that field 3 times next year, because you ran that weed through the combine and you've created a seed bank that's going to be there for 10 years. We're going to fight. So It's the little things that matter. You spend a penny here to save $1 later. Definitely worth it. So I'm not here to try to break the bank, but sometimes we've got to spend a little bit extra on the front end just to make sure that we're saving it or making it on the back end.
Yep. Good. So I'm a farmer, and I'm interested in doing some of this stuff. What's the best way to contact Easy Custom Ag?
So you can either see us on our website at easycustomag.com. All of our contact information is on there. We've got local sales agronomists. We've got Cody Clyburn, yourself, Tony Nye, myself, one of the owners of Easy Custom Ag, and Zach Monroe, the other owner of Easy Custom Ag. You can reach out to any of us, but the best way to get a hold of us is from our website. All of our contact information is on there.
Okay, sounds good. Well, good luck this fall, Evan, and good talking to you.
Thanks, Cody.